This week, I'm going all in. Nothing gets me learning faster than putting money on the line.
I am a nervous wreck. Checking my pulse.
4 days.
I've never played a hand.
No experience.
You're going to have to make me look very foolish here.
And the world's best teachers.
This is when my head explodes. I'm Tim Ferriss, best-selling author and human guinea pig. I'll show you how to make the impossible possible by bending the rules. I'll find the world's best teachers and push myself to the edge to deconstruct, decode, and demystify some of the world's toughest challenges in record time. If I can do it, so can you.
Lights, action, and gambling. This is Las Vegas. This week's experiment is poker. For some people, it's a game. For others, it's a science. And for some, it's a religion. For me, it's something I've tried to avoid my entire life. I have a general phobia of math, and I don't like gambling. But I want to see if it's possible to take what I perceive as a game of chance and turn it into a game of skill. At the end of the week, I'll go up against 3 accomplished poker players, and I'll hopefully be able to beat at least one.
Hey, Tim.
How are you? Nice to meet you finally.
To get me up to speed, I'll be working with World Poker Tour champion Phil Gordon, who's taken home more than $3 million in tournament prize money and has written best-selling books on how to learn poker.
I've never played a hand.
All right, well, what we're going to basically work on is being a strategic investor,
I like that phrasing.
right?
The point that he made was, I can't teach you to be lucky. I can teach you, however, to spot patterns, which then determines how you bet.
Look at the games around us, right? The slot machines, the blackjack tables, the craps table, that's gambling. That's not the way that winning players approach poker. Winning players have a reason for putting chips into the pot,
Yeah.
and they know that when they put that $100 in,
Yeah.
they're going to get more than $100 back out on average.
He doesn't view it as gambling because he's only investing when he has likelihood of a positive outcome, statistically.
You have to be aggressive, and you have to be patient.
I like that.
We want to be very selective about the hands that we choose to play, but once we choose to play that hand, we're going to be very aggressive with it. In reality, if you play 100 hands of poker, you're going to be folding probably 70 of them, and that's difficult for people to do. Poker is a game of extreme volatility and high variance. There are plenty of times that you're going to be 80% to win, but that means that 20% of the time you're going to lose.
So the question isn't, did I make money this hand? The question is, did I make the right decision? Because there are variables outside of your control. Any questions for me that will help you craft the approach that we take?
I'd love to know if you're playing your own money. I want you to feel what it's like to have something at risk.
Sure, I'll play with my own money then.
I think it will mean more to you.
According to Phil, the way you'll make decisions, the way you'll behave when there's real dollars and cents on the line is very different.
So once we get to the final challenge, I'll be betting $1,500 of my own money.
All right, starting from 0, this is the hand ranking guide. Every poker hand is comprised of 5 cards, and those 5 cards determine if you win or lose.
There are many different types of poker. I'll be playing Texas Hold'em, in which each player receives 2 cards that only he or she can see, and then 5 additional cards are dealt face up and shared by everyone.
She bets 8.
The best 5 cards out of the 7 available to each player comprise their poker hand, and the player with the best hand or the best bluff wins. The ranking system is based on probability. With the exception of having nothing, the most common hands are a pair, 2 pair, or 3 of a kind. After that comes a straight, which is having 5 cards in numerical order. 5 cards of the same suit, that's a flush. A pair plus a 3 of a kind together makes a full house. And 4 of a kind comes after that. Finally, you have the most valuable hand, which is a straight flush.
And this is when my head explodes.
Let's talk about the structure of a game. This is the dealer button. Whoever has this is determined to be the dealer.
When you're sitting at a real table, there will be a real dealer. But this little dealer button is still important. It moves around the table clockwise, 1 person at a time. Clockwise from the person with the dealer button sits the small blind, and then next to that person is the big blind. These players provide an initial bet before receiving their cards.
Essentially, it's seeding the pot a little bit and giving you something to play for.
I see.
And now there's a round of betting. Whoever is to the left of the big blind is the first to bet.
You have basically 3 options when you're playing a poker table. You can fold, so you can basically give up, you're done, you're out. You can call, which means you match what's on the table, or you can raise.
If all players fold except for one, then the round is over. Otherwise, you move on to the first 3 community cards. That's called the flop. After that, everyone has a chance to bet. Then, the dealer puts out a 4th card, called the turn, and there's another round of betting. Then comes the last card, the river, and you guessed it, another chance to bet.
And so now you're going to make your best 5-card hand from all 7 cards. So what are your options right now?
Fold or...
Well, you would never fold right now.
Not fold.
Folding doesn't make any sense.
I feel like my head is 3 feet underwater in details about poker. I have a feeling that learning how to play poker in real life will ruin my enjoyment of movie poker.
The flop, the turn, the river, minimum bets, position on the table.
That's a lot to cram into 4 days. I can't waste any of my hours.
It's my second day at Caesar's Palace in Sin City, and poker pro Phil Gordon is cramming my brain with strategy in advance of my first game later tonight.
Basically, when you put chips into the pot, here's what you should be thinking. What are the chances that I've got the best hand right now? Because that's essentially what we're doing. We're putting chips in the pot with the expectation that we have the best hand.
Yeah. Phil is teaching me basic principles of hand selection. So pre-flop, do I discard my 2 cards or do I play them? Number 2, understanding positional strength. So at a table with multiple players, which positions relative to the dealer allow me to be very aggressive and which positions require me to be somewhat defensive.
So let's say this is the dealer, and here are you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players left to act behind you. So when you're in this seat, you're playing out of position. And you know the more information you have, the better off you are, right? Watch this. So small blind, big blind. Fold, 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 fold. Now it's just you, and you're going to be in position for the entire hand. This is what professional poker players call the office. This is where you're going to do all your work. You want to be last to act. You want few people left that can re-raise you, and you want to see what they're going to do before you have to put chips into the pot.
Being in a good position provides you with an informational advantage, which allows you to be more selectively aggressive.
I'll give you a chart that shows you what hands to play from each position, and I can show you what the best hands are.
I think if I want to have a snowball's chance in hell this week, I need to focus on what percentage of my hands will be playable at specific positions around the table. And I have to get very good at the art and science of intimidation.
Now that I have the fundamentals under my belt, Phil decides it's time to throw me into the fire with real opponents.
Tim's first hand of poker.
Here we go.
Jessica raises to 7. Tim folds.
This is very common. Someone raises and everyone folds.
You have to balance patience with aggression, meaning you wait, you fold, 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 fold until you know you have a hand worth betting on, and then you go for the jugular.
Tim folds.
I like that. That suits me.
Finally, I find myself in the prime spot at the table with a solid hand.
Make it 6.
He calls. Danielle calls.
All coming after you.
They're all coming after me? All right.
18 in the pot.
Being aggressive doesn't mean only placing bets when you have your best hand.
In this case, I went from having a decent hand before the flop to a pretty mediocre hand after the flop.
And he checks. Danielle checks.
But when players in front of you check, that often means that they also have weak hands.
Tim bets 10.
If you capitalize on dominant position and get them to fold, you can win through intimidation.
And he folds. Danielle folds.
Just won your first pot.
All right. Sweet. Thanks.
Scared of you now.
Yeah.
Hand after hand, hour after hour, I'm winning a few and losing a lot. But playing right next to Phil gives me invaluable coaching. There are 1,326 possible starting hands in Texas Hold'em, and on one of my last hands of the night, I draw pocket aces. This is considered the best starting hand in Texas Hold'em.
Your first, Tim.
All right.
Raise to 6.
That's a goof on my part.
Pocket aces.
No, I shouldn't have gone. Oh. Probably.
A small little tell here. Yeah.
As it turns out, my poker face needs some serious work.
Hold yourself, Ferriss.
If I hadn't given away my hand, I could have pushed the pot size up and taken a lot home.
The majority of the hands you won today, what you had was pre-flop aggression and good position.
Yeah.
And if you can just keep those things in mind, it makes the game so much easier.
It's already day 3. My final challenge is tomorrow, and I have a few major problems with my game. Yesterday, when I drew a good hand, I gave it away right off the bat with a tell. Also, I look at my cards way too often.
If the flop comes out and I keep checking my own cards, they know that I don't have a pair because that's easy to remember. And that is a bad habit.
10 folds.
All right, more of the same, four-handed no-limit hold'em.
Yep.
Plugging some of those leaks that we've been working on for the last couple of days.
Right.
One big change.
Okay.
I'm gonna be playing today.
Oh, fantastic. Playing next to Phil and having him as an opponent, he knows how I will assess certain situations. He knows how I will respond in certain situations, and that's very intimidating.
Remember, don't look at your hand until it's your turn. You would not want me to know if you have a good hand or a bad hand right now.
Phil is an aggressive player.
He's made 90% of his money identifying the weak players at a table and then picking on them.
And of course, tonight, I'm sitting with Phil to my right, so that makes me his target. Back and forth we go, Phil raising and me folding. I should keep waiting for a great hand, but my impatience is getting the better of me. So I play a 7-3 suited that I'm sure Phil would tell me to fold. The tricky thing about bad decisions in poker is that sometimes they pay off. I had a whole lot of nothing until the river card, and that's when I hit a flush.
Oh.
Checking my pulse. I'm sure that's kosher.
Oh boy. All right, fold. Did you make a flush on the river? Nice.
Even though I got a little lucky with that last hand, I've really seen my skills improve a lot since yesterday.
I'm getting to the point where I can assess the strength of the two cards that I have in my hand. I'm doing that, and I'm also assessing what the best hands are that my opponents could have.
Phil's poker face is excellent, but when he checks, it signals to me that he has a mediocre hand.
Then you determine, based on all these factors, how much you're gonna bet sizing.
In this case, after the flop, I'm raising about half the size of the pot as a rule.
So that whether I have a crap hand or a great hand, my behavior is the same. My opponents can't read me that way.
Okay, show 'em up. I've got nothing. Oh, wow. That's a top 5% hand. When I raise before the flop, you should probably re-raise. That's a huge hand. Don't be scared when you have that hand.
A pair of queens is what Phil would call a hand you bring to war. In the future, I have to play it that way.
Everyone at the table right now thinks that your re-raise is aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens, and ace-king. But, you know, after you've established a tight image in a game, you can get away with pretending like you have it.
Bluffing is important because if they believe you're only betting when you have good hands, you're predictable. They can immediately fold whenever you bet.
So occasionally, it's worthwhile to bet big when you only have a half-decent hand. I'm deep in position and betting aggressively.
The winner.
And that's exactly what Phil taught me.
I love it, dude. Man. Got him playing power aggressive poker. I love it.
It's the last day of my poker experiment, which means tonight I'll be playing heads up, or one-on-one, against 2 pros and 1 semi-pro, with my own cash, 1,500 large, on the line.
Fold.
Playing against just one person requires some changes to strategy. The goal of heads up is to take all of your opponent's chips, so hand selection also depends on how many chips you and your opponent have in front of you.
Fold.
You can call there. It's close.
Yeah.
Let's try that again.
Fold. The heads up play is really tough for me, and my brain feels like an Etch-a-Sketch. Fold. Re-raise.
Great.
It's been 4 intense days of poker training, and now it's time for me to head back to Caesar's Palace for my final challenge.
I've got 3 heads-up matches for you. 1 semi-pro and 2 pros. It's not going to be easy, but you are well prepared.
I have $500 of my own money at stake for each of these matches, so I could lose as much as $1,500.
You got it. Selective aggression.
With only 4 days of practice, I'm not delusional enough to think that I can beat all 3 of them.
Match number 1, the gimme.
We'll see.
But if they're going to take my money,
Good luck.
I at least hope to make them work for it.
I am a nervous wreck, but I'm just gonna follow my game plan. I'm not gonna try to deviate. I'm not gonna improvise. I'm not gonna get cute.
Once again, that means a lot of folding.
As soon as the flop comes down, that's where skill and experience will kick my ass.
My job, therefore, is to make it really expensive for them to see the flop. I have to wait for the blinds to get bigger, which in this tournament happens every 10 minutes. That's when I can shift to aggressive short stack strategy and go all in before the flop, which will give me better odds of winning.
He's all in.
Seeing some aggression right there.
When I went all in and saw Ty's eyes pop open, then I knew I had a fighting chance because it really threw him off.
Nice play, sir.
All in.
He just continued to pound and pound and pound and pound.
Soon, Phil's strategy starts to pay off.
He's all in.
And with a lucky ace draw, I beat Ty's king and claim victory.
Well played, sir. Well played.
That first win really gave me a tremendous amount of confidence in Phil and his system.
But I'm going to need a hell of a lot more than confidence to beat Sarah, who's won hundreds of thousands of dollars playing poker.
Raise to 400.
Sarah's really intense. She does not talk much, and I found that unnerving. She would just kind of and look down at her cards for a fraction of a second, then make her decision.
Raise to 400.
I found myself going a little crazy in my own head with internal dialogue because there was no external dialogue.
I keep getting crap hand after crap hand, and whenever I nail an ace or a king, Sarah folds. But luckily, the blinds go up, and Sarah puts it all on the line.
Raise all in. Turn him up, please.
I show Jack 9, and coincidentally, she shows Jack 8.
Nice hand.
The flop comes down, giving both of us a pair of 3s. Then on the turn, we each get a 2 pair with Jacks high. Then the river comes out,
Wow.
giving me a pair of 9s and the game.
Good game.
I never, in my wildest dreams, expected to beat Sarah. 2 out of 3? That's ridiculous. 3 out of 3 seems overly ambitious, but it won't stop me from trying.
Raise to 400.
According to Phil, Anders is the most dominant of the 3 players that I'll face today. He's razor sharp, and he has a lot of experience.
In the first few rounds, a couple of lucky ace draws give me a slight lead in chip count. But then, on the 8th hand, he makes a big move.
Now 3,300 total.
You're gonna have to make me look very foolish here.
The turn comes out, and it's a 7 of clubs. If Anders has an ace in his hand, that pair will beat mine. If he has 2 clubs, that'll also mean a dangerous flush.
All in.
Ballsy.
Something about the way he's been betting and his muted reactions to my raises gives me a little more confidence in my Jack pair, so I go for the kill.
Oh, good hand, good hand.
Thankfully, he's only got a pair of 7s, but the river still hasn't landed, and there are 11 cards in the deck that can help him win. Those are called outs. Any club, 9, or 7 will give him my $500.
Those taught you well.
I won, and I couldn't believe I won. And then I saw Phil jump up and down, and I was like, oh, I won this thing.
You gotta be kidding me. Awesome, awesome job. That is awesome.
good game.
That's a hell of a last hand.
Yeah.
Wow. 3-0.
That's amazing.
And $1,500.
I think the moral of the story is
Sir.
trust in the system. It's a game of incomplete information, and you can use a system with basic guidelines, very basic mathematics.
You've just won 3 matches in a row against 3 of the best players in poker.
That was a good hand.
I'm no longer easy money, and all I had to do is follow the recipe.
Selective aggression, right?
That's it.
Name of the game.
Let's selectively go get a drink.
Let's selectively go get a drink.
And you're buying.
Oh, I'm buying.
All right.
I'm buying.
Hey guys, Tim Ferriss here. One of the things that kills me about TV is that you have to take all of this amazing footage. In our case, we had 5 to 6 days of 12 to 16 hours typically per day, and you have to chop it down to 21 or 22 minutes, which is a 30-minute show with the ads removed. It just makes me want to stab myself in the eyeballs with bicycle spokes. It's so agonizing. The good news is we have all that footage, and so we've taken huge extended scenes, we've taken interviews, we've taken tutorials, everything imaginable that we could get our hands on that we thought was really world-class that we wanted to put in. And you can find it at 4hourworkweek.com/TV, all spelled out, FOUR, etc. And we really feel like we could have made the best 2-hour documentary imaginable on the subject that you just saw, or had 5 different shows of equal quality, all different with the footage that we captured. So please check it out. There's some amazing stuff. And you can also check out the podcast where I do very long, in some cases 2 to 3 hour interviews with a lot of the experts in this show. And that's the Tim Ferriss Show, which was nominated one of the best of iTunes, which I'm very, very happy about. And you can check out both. So find everything at 4hourworkweek.com/TV. And if you think that's an oxymoron, by the way, you're right. If you want a 4-hour work week, do not work in television. Thank you for watching.